6:41, morning to you. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Anne.
Should we go through today's front pages first, then? And the Times leads on the increasingly contentious Tory leadership battle as Liz Truss surges in support following the elimination of Suella Braverman.
The Express has the Tory infighting. Braverman backs Truss and the Tory right mobilises to stop Mordaunt.
The Mail criticises Tory leadership hopeful Penny Mordaunt as her old boss, Lord Frost, says he has grave reservations about her as PM.
The Eye has a grilling of leadership candidates this weekend on TV debates starting tonight.
And the Telegraph covers Lord Frost's comments urging Kemi Badenoch to stand down for Liz Truss.
The Guardian has the Environment Agency's warning that firms who pollute our rivers and streams could face prosecution.
And the Mirror's front page looks at Britain's ongoing heatwave and the health warnings issued by the Met Office.
And the Star has John Turode from MasterChef saying he's a werewolf.
Well, there you go. What would we do without the Star?
I don't know.
I know.
We'd all feel better without the Star. I mean, what's that all about?
I don't know. How do they choose their front pages sometimes?
Know.
They must have a laugh.
We feel slightly agitated when there's a full moon, but he hasn't experienced excessive hair growth.
Is that right?
Apparently so.
You've read the story. You've read it.
Yeah, I've read it, yeah.
Dear.
OK, let's go through the papers this morning then with Benjamin Butterworth and Nabila Ramdani. Good to see you both this morning. To the Mail, Benjamin, Penny under pressure.
Yeah, so Penny Mordaunt is the unlikely favourite to win the Tory leadership race, but it's looking a bit questionable because, and you mentioned it just then, Lord Frost, who was the Brexit minister and is hugely influential in the Tory party. He's sort of the voice, the moral compass of the right. And he said that when...
Why is he? Hold on, why is he?
I'm not really sure.
Most of us had never heard of Lord Frost until a couple of years ago, and now he's the moral compass of the Conservative Party.
No, including me, I hadn't heard of him. But the influence he exerts is very clear.
Why did he stand then?
Well, he's in the House of Lords, so
He could still
you know,
stand.
He could still stand.
He could, but I mean, it's been a good 100 years since someone
we had a
attempted
Lord as
that.
Prime Minister.
I feel like that's one we can all get on board that you should at least be an MP. But he said that when she was Penny Mordaunt, that is, was his deputy, that she would go awry, that she was missing, and that he had to ask Prime Minister Boris Johnson to move her on after 6 months in the role. Now, he then endorsed Liz Truss, which is probably Penny Mordaunt's main rival. So, you know, he may well just be playing a game here. As it refers to in several of the papers, the campaign is turning nasty rather predictably. But I think that, you know, if Penny Mordaunt does fail to make it to the final two that Tory members will vote for, I think this Lord Frost intervention will probably be what won it.
I mean, look, what we don't know at this stage is whether he is making an absolutely valid and true point or whether he's been offered a plum job in a Truss premiership that he wouldn't get under Penny Mordaunt, because that's how it works, isn't it?
He did say in an interview yesterday, he said that he wouldn't serve under Penny Mordaunt, such as his disdain. And, you know, actually, you know, the Mail's headline on the front page is Mordaunt under the microscope, which actually is fair enough, because...
They all should be.
Well, they all should be, but, like, she most of all, because we really don't know much about her. You know, she did 83 days as Defence Secretary in the Cabinet. She was International Development Secretary before that, which is, you know, an important role, but not one that has much domestic policy in it. And so I think there's a lot of questions being asked about what does she actually believe.
OK, fair point. Nabila, what's the Telegraph got on this?
Well, more on Lord Frost, actually, urging for some tactical voting in this Tory leadership. He urges, effectively, MPs to back Liz Truss. He evidently believes in her. And this comes after Suella Braverman, who has been knocked out of the contest, who affirmed her endorsement for the Foreign Secretary. And now Lord Frost urges Kemi to do the same thing and come out and, as it were, back Liz Truss. And he is very specific about why this should be the case, because he says it's vital, effectively, for the unity among free marketeers. So you were asking about, you know, what's his legitimacy in all this. I think he's very much seen as a very serious politician. He's a top dog in the Tory party, and he's been very outspoken about, you know, the need to reclaim old-fashioned conservatism, if you like, and go back to what Tory values are about, low taxes, small state, anti-woke, and stand up for more traditional values. And one of the criticisms, I would say, of the modern Conservative Party is that it is spending too much. It is not budgeting enough. It is effectively spending money they haven't got. And, backing Liz Truss is directly to counter Penny Mordaunt's claim that she will come back to bring in some fiscal responsibility. And dare I say, she's got a perfect name for it. If you look after the pennies, the pounds will look after themselves, as the old saying goes. So she's got a very good headline-grabbing name
Liz for leader.
And also her initials, her slogan for her campaign, PM for PM.
Yeah.
Is there a danger that Conservative membership are just looking for another Margaret Thatcher?
I mean, I clearly they idolise Margaret Thatcher to this day, and I think Penny Mordaunt, Liz Truss is clearly trying to present herself as the Thatcher-style candidate. Penny Mordaunt has a lot of presence and a lot of authority when she speaks. And I think one of the reasons she's surged out of nowhere is because she has that sort of dominant feeling that Margaret Thatcher did.
She can perform.
But she also claims that Margaret Thatcher legacy, Penny Mordaunt. She was a schoolgirl in Portsmouth, and she very much says at any opportunity that, she recalls Royal Navy ships sailing to the Falklands War, which is very much a defined feature of the Thatcher legacy, and that's what inspired her into going into politics. She also has a very strong military background. She's a reservist, an officer in the Royal Navy. But other than that, we don't know much about her. No. She looks good, she sounds good.
What Lord Frost said about her is seriously worrying if you're choosing a candidate, isn't it? So he really has stuck the knife in.
And he's not the only one who says that she's very lightweight. We've heard expressions like Penelope Pitstop bending about to describe
She doesn't
her.
grasp her brief properly, he said, and that half the time he didn't know where she was.
But, when he said that, I just thought this is obviously some political game playing. It's extremely close on whether it will be Liz Truss or Penny Mordaunt against Rishi Sunak. And you look at the polling, chances are whichever one of them is against Rishi Sunak will win and be the Prime Minister. That's what it suggests from Tory members. The only thing I'd say is, as someone that, isn't thrilled by any Conservative Prime Minister, is objectively, I think Liz Truss is actually not a very good communicator. I think she's got something of an Ed Miliband about her. She's kind of dorky and awkward. She's not natural in front of the cameras. She can occasionally put on the sort of Thatcher-style, deep voice speech as she did with her launch, but actually she's quite an awkward person. And I think Penny Mordaunt would be more likely to win them an election.
Yes, well, you're quoted on the Penny Mordaunt website, aren't you?
Indeed, which is why I should be careful what I said, because she even quoted it in her launch speech. So,
what did you say?
I said she's Labour's worst nightmare, which clearly she was delighted
Yeah,
by.
I bet she was.
Well, there you go. OK, let's have a look at the summer heat wave, should we, Benjamin, in the Times? Because, look, in one sense, you think, oh, great. But on another sense, the Times saying this could actually cause a lot of concerns for the NHS.
Yeah, so Cobra, which is that meeting of ministers when something...
seem to have all the time now.
Yes.
It used to be like if there was a Cobra meeting, it was headline news. It seems to happen every week now.
Yeah, exactly. It used to... I swear I only heard of it in sort of awful terrorist incidents, but now it's for the heat wave. But actually, they're looking at temperatures of 40 degrees Celsius. Now, the highest temperature we've ever had in this country was 38.7 in July 2019. So, this is going to be dangerously hot for some people. And so there's a Cobra meeting about what they should do. There's worries about pressures on hospitals around the countries because of people getting ill from that. And yeah, I think it's quite a serious concern. I know that lots of fetes and events have been cancelled. The Chiswick Market cheese event has been cancelled on Sunday.
Oh, good
Livid.
grief. Good grief. What are the good people of Chiswick going to do if they can't have their cheese?
Exactly, it'd be too hot, it'd be sweltering.
Yes,
oh,
it
Chiswick drives me mad. Apologies if you listen.
Oh, Chiswick's lovely.
Well, it's sort of all right, but it's just full of media types. It's where they all live in Chiswick. Do you live in
worst.
Chiswick?
No, but I wish I did. I wish I had the money.
Oh.
Very nice. Actually, talking about the heat and the NHS in crisis, there's a rumour that even teachers might be sending children home from school.
Yes, absolutely.
If it's too hot?
Yes, well, I think, usually when you have stories about good weather, it's usually good news. But we're here talking about extreme weather, and it affects every aspect of society and every member of society, but especially the most vulnerable. And here, this is a story about teachers who will close their schools earlier to keep children from playing outside because they fear it will be too hot.
Just keep the kids in the classroom.
Yeah, but our classrooms don't have air conditioning, do they?
Open the windows.
Yeah, that's an option.
Our children need to be in school, don't they, now?
But if you send them home...
It's just as hot at home.
What difference does that make?
Yeah.
Well, the point at the lack
no
of concentration, in any case, it's harder to focus on studying. And some schools are changing the timetable. They start earlier, they finish by midday. But it has to be said, those kind of temperatures do affect the most vulnerable, and that includes the youngest members of society.
If that was the case, they'd never have lessons in Spain, would they?
That's
There wouldn't be school in Spain because it's all permanently too hot.
Nobody does any studying in the last 2 weeks of summer term, let's be honest. They just, when I was there, they'd wheel the TV in and stick you in front of some
You're
film.
very right. Yeah.
Honestly, we're turning into a nation of snowflakes.
Yes, that's what we need, a few snowflakes.
Well, it would be nice. OK, you two, thank you very much indeed. We'll see you a little bit later on, Nabila and Benjamin. Thank you. "7:37 morning to you. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Anne. I'm being told off by Steve watching. Are you thirsty, Stephen? 3 mugs, but only... Yes, we've got to have the... It's set dressing.
That's decoration.
Decoration. It's there for a tactical reason. There you go.
Yeah.
So, look, pretty. And you can get one of these now. You can buy them online.
And pens.
Pens, yeah. I haven't got a GB News pen, have you?
No, me either. They don't provide us.
No, we'll have
I've
to
got a
get
pen.
shopping. There you go.
People have pens anymore?
No.
Shall we take a look at the front pages today? The front pages of today's newspapers. So the Times leads on the increasingly contentious Tory leadership battle as Liz Truss surges in support following the elimination of Suella Braverman.
The Express has the Tory infighting as Braverman backs Truss and the Tory right mobilises to stop Mordaunt.
The Telegraph covers Lord Frost's comments urging Kemi Badenoch to stand down for Liz Truss.
The Guardian leads on the Environment Agency's warning that firms who pollute our rivers and streams could face prosecution.
And the Mirror's front page looks at Britain's ongoing heatwave and the health warnings issued by the Met Office.
Well, let's go through the papers now, and joining us 2 people who we pay with GB News pens and mugs. It's Benjamin Butterworth and Nabila Ramdani. Morning to you.
Morning.
Good morning.
No, you've not brought your fancy pen.
I've never seen a GB News pen. I'm going to have to buy one.
Find a box of them somewhere, won't we? Have to look under the desk.
Online or something.
So, Nabila, Benjamin, you're starting us off with the Prince Andrew saga.
Yes, remember him? So that Newsnight interview, the one that I think he'd rather forget, let alone the rest of us, it's going to be made into a film. So Sam McAllister, who is the journalist who got him to do that interview, and she's released a book, which I think's out today, rather coincidentally.
Called Scoop.
It is, and it sounds brilliant, actually. But along with that, it's been confirmed that they're turning it into a film. Peter Moffat, the writer who was behind things like Your Honour and Criminal Justice, is writing it. And so, yeah, Prince Andrew, the film is on its way. But
Can I just say I find this really distasteful? I mean,
Why?
Because it's about people who are... It's about a real situation involving real people and alleged victims, or all this sort of business. And of course, in a film, a lot of it is fabricated. By the very nature of it being a film, a lot of it is fabricated. It just has to be. And so people will view it as almost like a documentary, like they do with The Crown. They think, well, this is what happens. But actually, it's not.
But it'll be like Frost versus Nixon, won't it?
you'd imagine
The story
so.
of the interview and how they got the interview and what happened
That's
before and
why
after.
I think it's a bit odd anyway, considering the realities out there and people have watched the interview anyway, so what else is there to
happened before
add?
and after is the setting
Yes.
up of... I mean, apparently, after the interview, Prince Andrew was so pleased with himself that he wanted to show the Newsnight crew around Buckingham Palace and he took them on a little tour and everything.
Yeah, and I think, the fact that it's been announced alongside the book about how that interview actually happened, I think the Frost-Nixon style and the details of what went on and what he was really like is probably the angle they're going for. I mean, Stephen, I see what you're saying, but then, the BBC's making a thing about Jimmy Savile, aren't they? Which is, an even more abhorrent real-life story.
He's dead.
But I think there is something...
He's dead. I think there's a difference when someone is dead. And look, I'm clearly not defending Jimmy Savile. I'm not defending Prince Andrew. I just find it as a sort of genre. I mean, I wouldn't watch it in a million years.
And also, it just shows how movie makers or documentary makers are actually desperate for new plots.
Yes,
they're not coming up with original ideas.
Opportunistic.
Absolutely. And there's a whole lot of actors that have been suggested to play Prince Andrew. But dare I say, I mean, nobody plays Prince Andrew as better as himself. So why would you bother watching somebody else?
Because of the before and after and the setting up and why, why he agreed to do the interview in the first place.
What can be that exciting about...
You say that, but Frost Nixon was really worth watching.
No, I didn't like it.
Oh.
But the thing is, everybody knows this story. Everyone's been following it in all its mucky details for many years, in the US and the UK and the rest of the world. There's huge interest in it. I think, if it's one that goes to cinemas, it will probably do quite well.
Well, it's one of those where reality trumps fiction, so why bother go and see a fictionalised version of already, a stark, real story that has... been played out in the media, and you can read about it. Everything about it is online. I don't know what new they're going to bring to the party, frankly. I think it's
maybe a film
it's
about
lack of imagination and creativity in the industry, if anything.
Yeah. Maybe the sort of the people that have made accusations about various people over the years, like Virginia Giuffre, maybe a film about their lives might be more interesting and more valuable.
I don't know. I think it was a moment in time, that interview. Which makes it so interesting. And the writer who wrote the book, Scoop, what's her name again?
Sam McAllister.
Sam McAllister, yeah. She talks about how she was sitting on the floor opposite Prince Andrew when she was watching the recording of the interview. And she just said her jaw fell to the floor. She couldn't believe the things he was saying. So, no, I think it's a moment in time.
I mean, we already know that Prince Andrew is not the sharpest tool in the royal box. So, tell us something new.
I don't know. It's just we all go on about how much we love the Queen, which is a fair point. And I just think, if you really love the Queen, why would you want to bleat on about this, which is going to do nothing but upset her, basically? I don't know. That's generally how
it's a replay of something that has been brought to closure to a certain extent. And I don't know.
Let me know what you think. gbnews at gbnews.uk. Maybe I'm wrong. I might be totally wrong on that. Let us know what you think.
No, it's your opinion, whether you'd want to watch it or not, and you wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. No spaceships in it, so what's the point?
Spaceships. I'll watch it for you,
okay.
For us all, OK? Nabila, Armageddon in The Guardian, about all of these flights being cut.
Yes, and this story is specifically about a Gulf carrier, Emirates Airlines, who's having a go at Heathrow Airport because the airport is cutting summer flights. And so the carrier is saying that, frankly, Heathrow management is showing incompetence and inaction, and it's failing to prepare for the rebound in flying after the coronavirus travel restrictions. And the Heathrow said on Tuesday that it was capping daily passengers' numbers at 100,000 over the summer, and they are actively telling airlines to stop selling tickets for the peak season. And it's all, in essence, designed to avoid the chaotic scenes that we've seen at airports at Easter and at half-term, because there were soaring demands. This is effectively a story about millions of people who are desperately wanting to travel after the horror of consecutive lockdowns. They want to go away, but the travel systems are not coping. A lot of people and staff have left during the pandemic. They have not returned, and that's why you see those huge queues and, chaotic scenes. And I think...
apparently it takes 4 months to recruit and train baggage handlers and people who work...
And security as well.
Security systems, yes, at an airport like Heathrow or Gatwick. But we've been talking about this for at least 6, if not longer.
Yeah.
They've had enough time. And frankly, when we saw the vaccination programme happening and we thought maybe there'll be an end to this awfulness, they should have started planning much longer.
Well, I think, clearly everybody's frustrated, and there are economic problems that are not helping. Also paperwork that you have to fill in, crossing borders. Same things are happening at train stations, at the Eurostar, for example.
And it's not just a British or an EU problem. The US is seeing exactly the same structural issues in not having enough staff. But it's the cost of getting a flight has absolutely shot up. I went to look at booking return flights to Berlin, admittedly only for in a couple of weeks' time, but the cheapest one for economy was £500. There were some flights to Berlin that were over £1,000, and then I looked at other destinations in Central Europe, the kind of places where, you know, usually paying £100, if that, frankly. There were loads of them that were over £1,000 return flights in Europe in July and August.
Well,
I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, likewise. I was looking at flights to go to Berlin to the Stones concert in August, and it's absolutely incredible. The prices have soared beyond any reasonable, pricing.
But the boss of Ryanair, wasn't it, who said, get used to it because the days of cheap flights are over.
But it's a big change because EasyJet expected more holidays this year than in 2019. And so they were putting on a lot more flights in the first place. But, I'm a bit puzzled by it because it isn't just our problem. I think the truth is they laid off so many staff during the pandemic across, major Western countries, and now they can't get them back in time.
Well, yeah, it's the harsh reality of it all. Benjamin, Nabila, we've got to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed. We'll see you a little bit later on. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Anne. Morning. Just a very quick one, because we're tight for time. Susan says, I'm disappointed you don't seem to get views from Labour or Lib Dem guests and only have Tory views. Your programme has become very right-wing, and unfortunately I can't see myself continuing to view your programme. I'm neither Tory, Labour or Lib Dem, but would like to hear views other than Tory. But it's all about who gets in. We reflect, as we have done with yours, Susan, the views that come in.
Yeah, but also we were going to have a Labour MP on this morning, but they pulled out at the last minute. So
we do have a lot of Labour.
We regularly have Labour commentators on.
We do, but I say a lot of the views that we get emailed in aren't particularly Labour or Labour, but some are. And they say you're a floating voter, Susan, and your views are very welcome, and I hope you stick with us.
Yeah.
If you want a lefty on, Benjamin Butterworth's here. Take us through the papers along with Nabila Ramdani. Good to see you both. I mean, you're certainly not a right-wing.
No, regular viewers will pick up on that.
Yeah,
I was chair of the Labour Party's youth wing in a past life, so hopefully that satisfies...
Susan.
You ticked Susan's box there, yeah.
Oh, well, good.
Shall we talk about the leadership battle? I suppose we have to, don't we, Nabila?
Yes, absolutely.
In the Metro, about Penny Mordaunt edging ahead.
Yes, I mean, as we can see from the papers today, this Tory leadership race is very much dominating this long summer for all the right reasons. I mean, in the end, we have all the candidates for the top job in the Tory party who are desperately trying to put their message across, because at the end of the day, it's a matter that will be dealt with by ordinary members of the Conservative Party. And you have different views on different candidates, depending on who you speak to and which paper you read. So the Metro's headline is Pennies in Heaven. She edges further ahead of Truss in the race to become our next Prime Minister. So she's pushing ahead confidently, and that's the Metro's take.
Yes, I mean, they're sort of totally ignoring what Lord Frost has been saying about her overnight.
Precisely. They went for, I think, Penny from Heaven is a song from the 70s.
Yes, Pennies from Heaven.
It goes drama.
It was a TV series, but the song goes further back than that.
Yeah.
It's more 1920s, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, she makes...
No. I've done enough singing on this programme.
Well, I'll tell you what, we might start singing if we all have a drink this morning. But unfortunately, Benjamin... you are not meant to be drinking at all. You should be teetotal, according to this article in the Times.
Indeed.
Whereas I can have two glasses of wine a day.
Well, I mean, I'm not sure either of you hit 40 yet, but when you do, get to 40, so basically, just to outline this, so in the Times, there's a report in the Lancet, the medical journal, and they've looked at 204 countries, which must be all of them, and they found that people under 40 shouldn't drink anything. So even a shot of beer, if anyone's ever done a shot of beer, is bad for you.
Shot of beer, like a shot of beer.
Yeah, that 38 millilitres, it says. So I'm guessing that's the shot size as we know it. And then if you're between 40 and 64, apparently 2 standard drinks a day is OK. Not only that, but a regular tipple can ward off stroke, heart disease, or
That's
diabetes.
because of the qualities of red wine, is it, more than anything?
Is that what you tell yourself?
I think it's...
or-
It's because of the... what's the word of that you get in
Tannin.
red... No, it's something else beginning with C. It's whatever you get in red wine that's meant to be good for the heart.
Yes, I've heard
But
that before.
nothing alcoholic good for the youngsters.
Yeah, which is interesting, and I kind of feel like it's the other way around, right? Because I suspect under 40s probably, I don't know, do you think they drink more than...
Yes.
Did you drink more as you got older, or...?
No, well, I stopped when I stopped at 31.
Completely.
I think I drank a lifetime supply of alcohol by the time I got to 31.
Are
so
you
I packed it in.
teetotal?
Yeah.
I'm going teetotal later today.
What, for the rest of the day?
Well, I'll try. I keep trying.
I guess, the message here or the lesson is that everything is in moderation.
Yes.
You can look at things and everything could be a threat. Crossing the road could be a threat. Salt, red meat, butter,
Yes.
we're told, can be very bad for you. But I think, if you hit the right balance, then you'll be fine. And if you don't drink in hot weather, it's even better.
Do you know, I just think even if you... I mean, even this Times report says there are other reports that say different things. But honestly, if you just lived your life by all of these specific claims,
you'd never
be
do
so
anything.
miserable. That had knocked more years off your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's not how human nature works.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And I would certainly never tell a young person not to drink.
But I spent
drink a bit more
I spent my
sensibly.
entire motherhood, as it were, bringing my children up. I would never use salt to cook.
Oh.
Never, because I was absolutely full of the information that salt is bad for you, salt is bad for you. So I thought, well, if there's one thing I can do for my kids, I can train them to eat food that hasn't got salt in it. And now the whole thing's been reversed, and I've suddenly discovered salt. And it does make things taste nicer.
I love salt.
Yeah.
I do. I'm quite a heavy salter.
Yeah. Well, look, you can be now. But, I mean, yes, all of this medical opinions. If you went by everything the medics told you from time to time, yes, you'd be miserable, I think, and very confused.
Exactly.
You're French, aren't you?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've been drinking red wine and white wine as a child, watered
Well,
down.
no, I'm Muslim too, so...
Oh. So do you not drink at all?
No, I don't drink at all. I've been raised that way, and frankly, I have no interest in alcohol particularly.
I think that's the thing. If you don't touch it, you never get the thing for it. And I'd never go back to it.
It's this. What I find weird about alcohol is that we have this belief that it's glamorous and great, and it makes you feel greater. And frankly, from all evidence, it really isn't.
Well, there are some proven benefits to red wine, for example, for mental health, for skin condition. But again, I think it's excess in everything that creates...
I find the second bottle tastes nicer.
That's always the way.
You convince yourself that.
The only thing I sometimes think, you see it in movies and things, which I used to like, I didn't drink very often, but was a very dry vodka martini with a pickled onion. And honestly, I used to love it.
Maybe I'll put off going teetotal till tomorrow, because that's quite a nice idea.
That is very nice. It's very James Bond.
Yeah, it
with
is.
a pickled onion.
But that's what I mean. It's this idea of glamour, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you wonder why a fruit juice with the umbrella in it isn't as glamorous.
No, it's not.
It particularly appeals to women, I think. It encourages,
alcohol, with the glamour of
with the
alcohol.
glamour of it, yeah. And the way it's presented and
thanks.
the
It
fancy...
looks sophisticated.
Thanks very much.
But the fancy names sometimes they give to cocktails.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's just encouraging.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, consumption.
We're all daft, aren't we?
Yeah, well, if it tastes nice. To the mirror, look at these. I mean, Europe and the heat in Europe. I mean, they're talking about 49 Celsius, aren't they, in some places?
Yes, so it's not just Britain that's affected by these extremely hot temperatures that, dare I say, come with very stark health warnings and are very much talked about by the Met Office as a danger to life. And across Europe, you have temperatures going as high as 49, 50 degrees. And unfortunately, they translate into some horrific incidents such as wildfires sweeping across countries such as Italy, Spain, Portugal, Greece, Croatia.
We just saw that headline there, Alan Shearer's house engulfed in fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Quite a
There
few
you are, yes,
celebrities.
Portugal, in Portugal, that is. Alan Shearer films Inferno, so it's not his home, but it is the homes of millionaires being engulfed by flames, because in that sort of heat, the slightest spark can get things going, can't it?
Well, not only wildfires, but there have been also reports of floodings in Germany, for example. So I think we have to put this in the broader context of having a discussion about climate change. I think, you know, it's not just a one-off. I think it's a trend that politicians should look at and act on.
So if we're worried about climate change perhaps causing some of these extreme temperatures, should we build for it and put air conditioning in our houses, or should we do something else? Because air conditioning uses power.
And it's very expensive.
It's very expensive, so that's probably not the answer either.
No, I mean, yeah, I think air conditioning is incredibly expensive, and people can't afford to heat their homes, let alone to cool them with air conditioning if they live in a home, the rare home that does have that. I mean, I don't even own a fan, and I'm regretting that bitterly at the moment because I can't sleep at night.
You probably won't be able to buy one at the moment.
Exactly, but I mean, 40 degrees. You know, the highest temperature we've ever had in this country is 38.7. And that was just a couple of years ago. So, you know, these are sort of
life-threatening. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that the French authorities reported about 12,000 people dying because of extremely hot temperatures. So these are the kind of statistics that we should really get worried about. Yeah. But I think on the more positive side, I think people are nowadays a lot more educated about how to deal with hot temperatures. We drink a lot more water. We put cream on and we stay in cool places. I think we're becoming more aware of how, on a personal level, protect ourselves.
We're not daft. We're not daft.
A heat wave in Jordan that was 50 degrees. But they coped. They lived there all the time.
Well, that's it. They build for it, don't they? They have houses with shutters. They have thick walls of their houses. They have rooms that are always usually quite dark and cool.
Yes.
And maybe we've got to start thinking of that.
Yeah, get a dark, cool house, room in your house.
The chance of buying a house would be...
That's another issue. Look, it's really good to see you both this morning. Thank you very much indeed, Benjamin and Nabila.